بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أنبياء الله جميعا وعلى سيدهم وخاتمهم حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد، وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا، وعلى ابنته الطاهرة الصديقة الكبرى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام، وعلى حفيدها سيدنا ومولانا الإمام المهدي المنتظر عجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل مخرجه وجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة، يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان، بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان، فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. عطروا مجالسكم, inspire your hearts and your sessions with a loud salawat for Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. In the United States, 33% of married people report feelings of isolation and loneliness in their marriages. 47%, almost half of the population, they say at some point in their life they find their marriage, their marital life does not have any meaning. It's meaningless. So why? Why people feel a sense of alienation and loneliness in their marriage? Isn't supposed the marriage to be the nest to bring souls together? Doesn't God say about marriage, خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا? So you find psychological and emotional shelter, emotional refuge. So why the feel of estrangement? Why feeling alienation in the institution of marriage? Unfortunately, when I travel and I meet members of the various communities, the prime message I get, especially from the young generation, is that Sayyid, divorce is skyrocketing in our community. Divorce is becoming a pandemic. And this is very sad to see the decline of this sacrosanct institution, the institution where the Prophet says about it, ما بني بناء في الإسلام أحب إلى الله تعالى من التزويج. No institution, no foundation has been built on earth dearer or closer to God than the institution of marriage and family. So why this high rate of divorce? And why this feeling of loneliness while you are married to someone else, to another human soul? There are a number of reasons. I'm going to mention a couple of ones, and then I'm also going to share with you, drawing inspiration from the life and legacy of Sayyidatu Nisa al-Alameen, as-Sayyida Fatima Zahra alayha salam, some lessons we are here to learn. I am here to learn. We are here to change. We are here to improve. This is why we have these sessions in Muharram, in Ramadan, in Fatemiyah, other events. The main purpose of these sessions is to get inspired and follow their lead, follow their example. We can't go back home empty-handed, learning nothing. We have to learn these lessons from those people, special people, our leaders. If we don't follow their example in this life, most likely we are not going to get their shafa'ah and intercession tomorrow. We secure their shafa'ah by following them, by being loyal to their path, to their lifestyle, to their manners. So, why do we have loneliness in the marriages? I believe reason number one is because most of us, we over-expect from our partners. When we expect things that they cannot afford, we become totally dependent on them. We expect the spouse to be a homemaker, to be a savior, to be a therapist, to be an entertainer, to be everything. And then that spouse cannot deliver, then you get disappointed. You get disappointed with this relationship. So do not over-expect from your spouse. And we have to maintain, married couples, we have to maintain a level of independence in our marriages. Though the institution of marriage is supposed to be based on cooperation between the husband and the wife, collaboration between them. However, we need to maintain some level of independence and sovereignty and autonomy in the marriage. Why? Why this is important? It's important because in the future, if something happens, there is a crisis in the family, there is a disability, there is sickness, there is divorce, there is, God forbid, death. You are not desperate. You can survive. You can survive under difficult circumstances. I know several examples of people on both sides, those who were completely dependent on their spouses and those who had some level of independence and sovereignty. I've seen both examples. I've seen what happens to them. Those who were completely dependent on their spouses, a lady, unfortunately, when she got divorced, her life was shattered because during her marriage, she did not learn anything. She would ask her husband for the smallest things. He's always on call. Always, whenever she wanted to have something or do something or fix something, she has to call him. So she was financially, psychologically, emotionally, physically, completely dependent on him. All of a sudden, when he disappeared, her life was devastated. On the other hand, I've seen examples, at least one example that I remember of a lady, her husband died at a young age. She refused to remarry, and she dedicated her life to serving and helping and educating her children. After 30, 40 years, when she died, I attended her memorial service, and I spoke at her memorial service. Her children, all of them, male and female, They were accomplished people. They were giants in their communities. They were raised single-handedly by this single mother. Because she puts, number one, she puts her trust in God. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. God would suffice you. Number one, she also enjoys self-confidence. She puts her trust in her ability, in her talent, in her potential. You may have an amazing potential that you are unaware of. So this is why we need, if you want to save your marriage, if you are a female or a male, a wife or a husband, you have to enjoy some level of independence. And I don't mean only money, financial aspects. In all aspects, emotional aspects, psychological aspects, social aspect, you need to enjoy this level of independence. It would be good if some mothers, if some wives can get some jobs and some income, decent income. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam says, when you are totally dependent on your father, on your husband, on your wife, on your brother, on someone else, you become enslaved to that person. احتج إلى من شئت تكن أسيرة. Once you are completely depending on that person, in everything, in every aspect, you become a slave to that person. And this is not good. واستغني عمن شئت. You don't need people to help you. You can help yourself. God has given you so much talent and ability to stand on your feet. واستغني عن من شئت تكن نظيره. You become their equal, their counterpart. وأحسن إلى من شئت. If you lend your hand, your support, your help to a person, تكن أميرة. You become a prince. And this is true. This is very true in the marriage. Unfortunately, some men, they take advantage of the weakness of their wives. Why? Because she is totally dependent on him in every aspect. She does not generate her own income. She needs her husband for food, for clothing, for rent, for medication, for education, for traveling, for car insurance, for everything. And therefore, some men, not all of them, some of them, they take advantage of this weakness. So this is one reason. One reason that some people, they feel the sense of loneliness in their marriages. Another reason, my friends, is the lack of compatibility between the husband and the wife. Their characters are incompatible. And this is a problem. And this is because they made the wrong choice from day one. How many of you here are still single? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. If you are single, raise your hand. Don't be shy. I'm not single, of course. I put my hand down. Many of you. And I know on the other side of the aisle also many of you. My friends, as a brother to you and a servant, I have an advice. As a father, grandfather who's been married for 41 years, don't rush into any relationship. Do not rush. Take your time. Take your time. You have to understand that person and discover that person. Don't give in to your emotions. Do not tell me he's the perfect person. You've seen him only for 2 days. How do you know he's perfect? You know nothing about him. The only thing you know is the romantic, text messages. I love you, I care about you, I need you, I cannot live without you, That's all. This is not the truth about marriage. So don't rush. And listen. Listen to the advice of your elders, of your parents. Even if your father is not highly educated, But he has experience. Your mother has experience. Your elders, they have some experience. Benefit from their experience. So you would not regret in the future. So when you make a bad choice, it's too late. You're going to suffer. And believe me, divorce is not only separating physically from your partner, going into another home, living into another place. Divorce has very dire and severe repercussions on your brain, on your soul. Many people develop deep depression after divorce. It's not a joke. It's not easy. So be careful. Have mercy on yourself. Consult. Take your time. Take your time. And this is for both men and women. Take your time. And do not depend only on istikhara. Some people tell me, Sayyid, take an istikhara for me. For what? For marriage. I tell them, did you do your homework? Did you ask about the person? No, I'm trying to take istikhara first. No istikhara. No istikhara. God has given you a brain. God has given you aql and reason. Use it. Use your aql. Do not depend on this istikhara. First, go and do your own homework. Consult. Wait. Be patient. Ask. Investigate. And then after that, if you want to do an istikhara, it's okay. So when we make a bad choice, then we find out that there is incompatibility between the characters, between the values, between the principles. Sometimes there is spiritual incompatibility. One of them is very spiritual. He has a spiritual character, a spiritual style. The other is materialistic. They would not be able to get along. If you read chapter 33, Surah Al-Ahzab, you will find in that chapter an amazing verse about the life of the Prophet, the marriage of the Prophet. God says to the wives of the Prophet, listen, if you are materialistic and if you are looking for the gains and the profit of this lower life, then leave the Prophet. He's not the right man for you. You are not marrying the right person. But if you put the akhirah ahead of you. يا نساء النبي إن كنتن تردن الحياة الدنيا وزينتها فتعالين أمتعكن وأسرحكن سراحا جميلا. Come to me, I will give you your dowry and I will happily divorce you, amicably divorce you. You go your own way. But if you look up to the akhirah, if your final goal is akhirah, of course, the Prophet would provide them the basics. He did not deprive them. There was a commotion happening in his house which lasted for almost 1 month. 1 month between the wives of the Prophet. They came to him, they said, we want more and more and more. The Prophet said, I can't afford. I'm the messenger of God. I can afford the basics, which is your right. But above the basics, I'm sorry. I can't. So God said on his behalf, إن كنتن تردن الحياة الدنيا وزينتها, the ornament of this life, the Prophet is the wrong person. On the other hand, وإن كنتن تردن الله ورسوله والدار الآخرة. But if you seek the pleasure of God and his apostle and the hereafter, then this is the right person. فإن الله أعد للمحسنات منكن أجرا عظيما. Not for all of you, for those who are benevolent of you, for those who are patient. God has prepared a huge reward for you. So akhirah versus dunya. Some couples here, his concern is about the akhirah. His concern is to get closer to God. Whereas his or her partner, the concern is money, 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 money. Knows nothing but money. And the more he accumulates, the more he wants. The more he wants. I mentioned this last night. 2 people are covetous. 2 people are covetous. One of them, the one who seeks knowledge, loves knowledge, and the one who seeks money and loves money. They don't stop. Their journey does not end anywhere. So this is one example. Another example of people who are incompatible in marriage, and this causes loneliness for them, for both or one of them, is when one of them loves to learn, loves learning, educating himself or herself, exploring. He's educated, he's intellectual, she's intellectual, while the partner is non-intellectual, almost illiterate. One of them loves to learn, to go to school, to explore, to excel. The other, all what he or she loves is shopping and gossiping and sitting in a cafe and doing argila, chai and chapati, every night. This is all what they care about. That does not work, my friends. That doesn't work. Speaking about argila, it's dangerous. This is a disease. Not just it hurts your teeth and your heart and your kidney and every organ in your body. Smoking, vaping, argila, you are the followers of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Fatima Zahra. For you guys, it's forbidden. It's forbidden. It's an addiction. It hurts your marriage too, not just your heart, not just your brain. It hurts your relationship with your spouse. Stay away from it. Stay away from that. It's a disease. It's an addiction. You may ask me, why, Sayyid? What's wrong with argila? I'm having fun. I'm enjoying my time. You are having fun, but then you don't know about the hurt and the harm. Because argila is associated with people, majalis al-battalin, people who are idle, people who do nothing, people who have no production, no work, people who are useless. They spend 3 hours, 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours sitting in a cafe, smoking the argila at the expense of their wives, their kids, their community, their families. It's not good. This is not healthy, my friends. It disturbs me. When I come to London, many things makes me happy and many things makes me sad. One of the things that make me sad is when I see the Shia Muslims, young ones, who are supposed to work for their future, for their country, for their community, for their families, spending hours and hours on argila. Once in a while going to a cafe, it's okay. It's okay. But not addiction. Not every night. Consider you have people that you are responsible for. You are a breadwinner. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, لعن الله من يضيع من يعول. May God have no mercy, no blessing on a father or a mother who's a caretaker and a breadwinner, and they have a family, they have kids, but they waste their time. They don't care about them. The father is the last one to know about his daughter or his son. The mother is the last one sometimes. لعن الله من يضيع من يعول. Be careful, my friends. Quit. My advice to you as a brother again tonight. I'm a guest here. I'm leaving soon. I'm not staying here. But I love you and I care about you. I care about your future. I care about your future. Quit these things. Vaping, smoking, and argila. Throw them away. You have to have a strong will. God has given you strong will, but we don't activate. We don't press that button. We don't press it. But if you press it, you're going to change yourself. You're going to change yourself. If we don't change ourselves, we cannot change our children. We cannot educate our children. We are role models. And I'm going to speak about parenthood tomorrow, inshallah. How Fatima succeeded in raising heroes. 4 heroes. How? How? Through technology? No. She was rich through money? No. But through strong will. Strong will. And then there is another style of living which is also incompatible. When someone puts his family first, his family is his or her priority, the other spouse, the friends are the priority. They rarely spend time with their kids. They are rarely at home. They don't see their kids. I'll tell you a story that happened to me in America. In one of the states, a father told me, Sayyid, I was lost until my son, my little son, woke me up from my deep sleep. I said, how? He said, I was workaholic. I'll be gone for 17, 18 hours a day in my office. By the time I come home, I'm tired, exhausted, hungry. I throw myself in my bed. I leave early morning. I didn't see my children. And I didn't realize that I'm committing a crime against them. Until one day, when I came late, very late, my son was there waiting for me, my little son. He said, Father, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. He said, how much you make an hour? How much money you make? I said to him, $50. He said, this is $50. I want you to spend 1 hour with me. I'll give you from my own saving. I need to see you. Can I buy 1 hour from you? He says, this was a wake-up call for me. It's true, my friends. It's true. Some people, they spend years and years making money. On the other hand, they lost their children. Is your son more important, or your shop, or your business, or your career? Which one is more important? Your son, your daughter are more important. Save some time for them. Prime time. Spend prime time at home. Prime time. When you are full of energy, when you can communicate, not when you are tired and sleepy. Kids, they need you. And I'm going to speak about how to be a role model for our children tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. So these are the two reasons, some of the reasons that contribute into the sense of estrangement, into the sense of loneliness at home. And then I'm going to share with you, my friends, drawing inspiration from Lady Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, three important, in my opinion, the three most important elements of harmonious marriage, a productive marriage, a healthy marriage, a stable marriage, a successful marriage. How do you build your family? And it's not a miracle. When we speak about As-Sayyida Fatima Zahra, her marriage with Amir al-Mu'mineen, it doesn't mean that only those people can do it and we, the regular people, we cannot do it. No, you can do it. You as a father, you as a mother, you can do it too. It's not impossible. But it requires a little bit of farsightedness and wisdom and patience. And you can do that. You can make your family an ideal family, an example family. وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ. And I know many of you here. I know many of you in this audience, on both sides. I know you exemplify this verse in the Quran. وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. A comfort for the soul, not suffering for the soul. Some kids, some sons and daughters are a cause of suffering and pain and misery for their parents. But some of them, they really represent a comfort and a pride and happiness for their parents. And this is how a Shia community should be, my friends. We have to be leaders. وَجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. If you are not a cause of comfort for your parents, you are not going to be a leader, imam. You are not going to be a leader for others. وَجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. For the pious, make us role models for the pious. So number one, what we need in the marriage, what is urgently needed in our marriages, to incorporate mutual understanding. What do I mean by mutual understanding? Mutual understanding means a sense of appreciation and respect. Always respect your spouse. Always. Whatever he does, appreciate. Appreciate what they do. Even if they do the smallest things to you. Appreciate that. مَنْ لَمْ يَشْكُرِ الْمَخْلُوقِ لَمْ يَشْكُرْ. If you don't give thanks to your spouse, to the closest person to your heart, to the one who lives with you 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, if you don't give thanks to her or to him, then you are not doing justice to your Lord. You are not thanking your Lord. Appreciate what she does. Appreciate. The second thing is respect, mutual respect. This is very important. When respect is missing, marriage is on the path of destruction. Not only respect him or her, respect their families too. When you love someone, you love his family, her family. Respect your in-laws. Respect their conviction, their feelings, their choice, their contribution. Do not overlook their contribution. Don't disrespect your husband because he makes little money. Don't say to him, you are useless. Look at others. Look at what they do. Don't compare him to others. Each one has his own ability, his own potential. Always encourage. Don't put them down. Don't put your spouse down. God has given us a precious gift. That precious gift is called speech, the power of speech. With your speech, with your tongue, you can build your family. You can build this life. You can build the world. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. Bayan is intelligent communication. Intelligent. And you have to use it at home with your spouse first. علمه البيان. Communication. Intelligent communication. When you speak, don't be angry. Don't destroy your life through wrath and anger and frustration. وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا. God says, when you speak to nas, strangers, nas means strangers outside. Speak nice. Speak nice to them. God says in His book, sometimes you have an enemy who hates you, but you can win his heart through few words. ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. Use the best method. Use your intelligent speech, intelligent communication. Use the nice. Choose your word when you speak with your spouse. Choose them carefully. You can win their hearts. So respect is important, my friends. The Prophet ﷺ one day was sitting among his companions. They said to him, Ya Rasulullah, can I be with you? Can I be your neighbor tomorrow in paradise? Can my house be next to your house? Everyone was saying something. The Prophet turned to them and he said, أقربكم مني يوم القيامة أقربكم لأهله وأنا أقربكم لأهلي. You want to be in my neighborhood, in my vicinity? You don't have to pay money. Be close to your family. Emotionally, psychologically, be close to your family. Be kind to your family. Be forgiving. You will be close to me. You will be the closest to me. And I am your role model. The home of the Prophet was, at one point he had 12 or 13 wives. At one point. Imagine. 13 women in one place. MashaAllah. But he was patient. He says, وَأَنَا أَقْرَبُكُمْ لِأَهْلِ. And they were different, very diverse. One of them is the daughter of Abu Fulan. The second, the daughter of Fulan ibn Fulan. A third one was, her father was Abu Sufyan. A fourth one was Jewish previously. The fifth one was a Christian from Egypt. The seventh one was whatever. Different denominations. Different ethnicities. Different backgrounds. different cultures too. But the Prophet was able to unify them through his manners and through his patience. To the extent that God, one day, he threatened them. عَسَى رَبُّهُ إِن طَلَّقَكُنَّ أَن يُبْدِلَهُ أَزْوَاجًا خَيْرًا مِنْكُنْ. أَزْوَاجًا خَيْرًا مِنْكُنْ. This is exactly in chapter 66, Surah Al-Tahrim. Some people claim that fulana are the best wives. No, it's not true. Show them this chapter. Open this page, chapter 66, verse number 4. عَسَى رَبُّهُ إِن طَلَّقَكُنَّ أَن يُبْدِلَهُ. He will give him, provide him, substitute him with wives better than you, in their manners, in their faith, in their akhlaq, in their approach, better than you. خَيْرًا مِنْكُنْ. But the Prophet was patient. And he did not divorce any wife during his lifetime. He was patient. خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِنِسَائِهِ. The best among you is the one who's the best in his manners, in his patience for his family. This is what we have to learn. This is number one, my friends. Remember, appreciation, mutual. Doesn't work one side. Mutual appreciation and mutual respect. Number two element that brings stability and happiness and joy in your marriage is what? What do you think? What is it? Is also mutual and unconditional what? Mutual and unconditional what? What is the third word? We just mentioned respect, Habibi. Where were you? Mutual and unconditional qiyam. So while you are thinking about this, can you move one step forward? رحم الله من ذكر القائمة من آل محمد. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. A second salawat with the loudest voice. الثالثة على حب الصديقة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. So it is a mutual and unconditional sacrifice. You have to be willing to sacrifice for your family. Put your family before yourself. The Prophet says the difference between a believer and non-believer, what is? In what they wear? No. In the type of the car they drive? No. In the mansion or the home or the flat, the apartment they live in? No. Could be similar. So what is it then? He says, المؤمن يأكل بشهوة أهله والكافر يأكل بشهوة نفسه. It means that a believer always when he desires something, it's a metaphor. When he desires, he puts his family first. He asks his family, what would you like? Whereas the non-believer who does not believe in God, he puts himself first. He doesn't care about his wife, his children. All what he cares about, himself. This is the difference. So we need to sacrifice. We need to give. There is no room for laziness. You have to give. Sacrificing for the sake of your family is an act of worship. An act of worship. This is the second element. To sacrifice. The third element in the marriage, because some people come to me sometimes and tell me, Sayyid, my husband is completely absent from the family. He doesn't want to learn. He doesn't want to excel. He doesn't want to work. He's not ready to change. And whatever I am saying now also applies to some women, some wives too, to be fair to both sides. And that does not work, my friends. you're going to lose your family. If you don't sacrifice, you're going to lose your family. You have to sacrifice. A person comes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, Ya Rasulullah, inna li zawjatan. I have a wife. Whenever I come home, she's the first one to receive me with a smile. Do you have this in your families? Huh? Shall we make a survey now and ask you? She receives me with a smile. And that is going to prolong not only your marriage, your life too. Your life too. Recently, scientists and therapists are saying that a simple hug between the husband and the wife in the morning that lasts for 20 seconds, it infuses them with a stability, with hope, with optimism. It makes a huge difference in their marriage. A simple hug, 20 seconds. When I read the report, I remembered what the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 1400 years ago. قول الرجل لزوجته إني أحبك لا يخرج من قلبها. A man who says to his wife simply, I love you. It will be engraved in her heart. It pierces her heart. It infuses her with hope, with joy, with a smile. The Prophet said this 1400 years ago, but we don't pay attention to it. Why? Because I have a pride. I'm not going to tell my wife, I love you. Why should I tell her? She knows I love her. No. She wants to hear it from you. And the same thing, the husband wants to hear it from his wife. Though he knows she loves him. But this is acknowledgement. This is a reminder. This is empowerment. This is refreshing for the soul, for the heart, when you hear it from your spouse. So the man was saying to the Prophet, when I come, she receives me with a smile. وَإِذَا خَرَجْتْ شَيِّعَتْنِي. When I leave the house, she walks with me. She ushers me a few steps. And if she finds me sad and depressed, she tells me, if you are sad for the dunya, you should not be sad. فَقَدْ تَكَفَّلَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى بِرِزْقِكَ. God has secured the provision for you. Do not worry about this dunya. Don't worry. وَإِن كُنْتَ مَغْمُومًا لِلْآخِرَةِ زَادَكَ اللَّهُ غَمًّا. But if your concern is for your akhirah, I ask God to increase your concern so you work better for your akhirah. You know what the Prophet said to him? He said to him, go back home, greet her. Tell her the Prophet sends his salam. And tell her, أنت من أهل الجنة. وأنت من عمال الله تعالى. You are one of the people of paradise and you are one of the agents of God on earth, working for God. Agents of God. We need to sacrifice. Don't neglect your family. Don't. Today maybe you don't see the consequences. In 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you're going to see the consequences. I come to London once in a while. I was living in this country. Before many of you were born here, I was living in this country. And now when I come back, I see some of you are excelling, wonderful leaders. I'm proud of you. And I hear stories about others, they are not doing well. And you know the reason are the parents. Some of you, your parents were very responsible. They took good care of you. This is why you are men and women today. You are successful today because your parents 20, 30 years ago, they took good care of you. Others who are not doing well, their parents neglected them. Completely neglected them. Sometimes they hail from important families, observing families, faithful families. But the parents, they didn't care. And we see the difference. I am, as a visitor who come, I can observe, I can monitor, I can see the result. And I know why this is happening. So invest for your future, for your own future. Not only for the dunya, invest for the akhirah too. We're going to stand before God tomorrow. The first question, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, لا تجوز قدم عبد يوم القيامة حتى يسأل عن أربع. Once we are resurrected from our graves, we're going to be interrogated. 4 questions, 4 important questions. If you don't answer them, you don't move even a single step forward. عن عمره فيما أفناه. You lived for 70, 80, 90, 60, 50 years. How did you spend your time? Where did you spend your time? What did you do? What is your accomplishment? What is your achievement? Only eat and drink and have fun? This is life? No. It's much bigger than this. وَعَنْ جَسَدِهِ فِيمَا أَبْلَاهِ. We have given you a perfect body. Perfect, healthy body. Why did you destroy your heart, your stomach, your kidney with these intoxicants, with the drugs, with the smoking, with other destructive substances? Why? Why? وَعَنْ مَالِهِ مِنْ أَيْنَ اكْتَسَبَهُ وَفِيمَا صَرَفَهُ. Your income. This is auditing. Strict auditing, perfect auditing of the money that we generated. From where? Was it halal or haram? Today, we had lunch and Sheikh Muhammad al-Hilli was there. But after you left, when we had tea, someone said, Fulan and Fulan and Fulan, they made a lot of money. I said, how? He said, Sayyid, all from haram. They don't care about halal and haram. They made money. Here, nobody is going to question them. But tomorrow, they're going to be interrogated. They have to provide detailed answers. Every penny you collected. Every penny. And how did you spend that money? Also, you are responsible. Maybe here you say, this is my money, I'm free. But there you cannot give this answer. And the 4 and the most important answer, وَعَنْ حُبِّنَا وَوِلَايَتِنَا أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّلَامُ. This family, golden family, is a gift for, universal gift for mankind. Universal gift for mankind. Their names were mentioned. Some people ask me about tawassul, the legitimacy of tawassul. I tell them, I refer them to some of the tafasir sunnah. When Adam was kicked out of paradise, he committed a sin. وَعَصَى آدَمُ رَبَّهُ فَغَوَى. And the sin has different meanings. I don't want to discuss this now. So he wanted to revert back to God. He said, God, teach me something. How do I come back to you? What does the Quran say? فَتَلَقَّى آدَمُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ كَلِمَاتٍ فَتَابَ عَلَيْهِ. Kalimat. He received, he was inspired. Certain kalimat, words, were revealed to him. Look at some of the tafasir, not only the Shia tafasir, the school of caliphs, the school of the companions, the Sahaba. It says these kalimats are Muhammadun wa Aliyun wa Fatima wal Hasan wal Hussein. God said to him, if you want to come back to me, use these words. Say, Allahumma بحق محمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين إلا ما غفرت لي. Use this. This is the protocol. So before they were created, they were important. They are a gift for mankind. Now we leave them, we go to someone else. We knock at the wrong door, another door. We're going to be asked about this. And number 3, and I'm going to conclude soon, inshallah. Number 3 element in the marriage. So I mentioned, what was number 1? Do you remember, my friends? Mutual understanding, which entails appreciation and respect. What was the second one? Ahsan, sacrifice. And what is the third one? What do you think? If you are married, you know. Leniency and forgiveness. It's one of the most important elements of strong and powerful marriage. Leniency, al-rifq in your marriage. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam states ما وضع الرفق على شيء إلا زانه وما رفع عن شيء إلا شانه. Whenever you put leniency and forgiveness on anything in this life, you use leniency with anything, but it will beautify it. It will add a value to it. Zanahu makes it beautiful. Whenever you remove leniency from any relationship, from any object, from any person, from any covenant, you're going to make it despicable, looks ugly. And we need to incorporate this in our relationships, not just in the marriages, in your friendship with others, in your relationship with all people around you. Forgiveness. This is the key for success. This is the key for success. Don't hold the grudge. Grudge is dangerous, my friends. Sometimes remember the good days you spent together, the romantic days you spent together. At the time when you are contemplating about divorce, when they come to me for marriage counseling, I tell them, listen, take some time, go back home and take a pen and paper and try to remember and jolt down some notes. When you were in romance, romantic relationship, you loved each other, you cared about each other. You could not sleep the night because she was away from you. You were waiting for her text to arrive. Remember these beautiful days. Don't remember the bad days. Bad days are exception. Two people were walking on the beach, two friends on the shores. They got into an argument. One of them slapped the other on his face. So the victim, he wrote with his finger on the sands of the beach. He wrote that my friend slapped me on my face. And they continued walking until they reached some rocks, high rocks. They started climbing these rocks. All of a sudden, the victim, his feet slipped. And he was about to die, to go down. So his friend who slapped him on his face, he saved him. Last minute, last second, he holds his hand. When he saved his life, he started engraving on the stone that my friend saved my life. So the friend asked him, what are you doing here? He said, when you slapped me on my face, I wrote on the sand. So it could be easily erased by the water when it comes. It will erase it. But when you saved my life, I am writing it on the stones, engraving it on the stones so it remains forever. And I remember, forever I would remember. When you hit me, I try to forget that. I don't keep it in my heart. But when you saved me, I try to remember your favor. This is how it should be, my friends. When we have argument with our partners, remember that she was loyal to you one day. She helped you. She raised your children. You were in love. Now shaitan came in between you. Remember the good days and forgive. Allah says revenge is easy. He says if you want to take revenge, it's okay. But He says وَإِن تَعْفُوا, but if you forgive, أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Revenge is a temporary solution, is a painkiller. It's not a remedy. If someone hurts you and you take revenge, you exact revenge on that person, it's like a painkiller, but it's not a remedy in the long run. Whereas forgiveness, God says, it's a real remedy for the heart. وَإِن تَعْفُوا, if you opt to choose to forgive, it's closer to piety and righteousness and remedy. وَإِن تَعْفُوا أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. We have to forgive. We have to forgive. Don't call your attorney. Don't go to the court. Don't say طالق طالق طالق. Sometimes I say to my friends, never even with jokes, never say to your wife, you are divorced. Even don't joke about it, let alone being serious. Don't joke. There is no room for divorce. We have to change. We have to change our community. We have to change these perceptions. If we are to follow Lady Fatima alayhi salam, genuinely to follow her path and her model and her family and her legacy, we have to change. Otherwise, she would not be happy with us. You think she would be happy if I beat my chest for 2 hours and I go home and I don't have respectful relationship with my wife? No, she won't be happy. She doesn't need my tears. She needs my work, my commitment, my job, my manners. This is what is important. كونوا زينا لنا ولا تكونوا شيئا علينا. If you want to follow us, I want you to be an ornament, a source of a pride for us. حتى يقول الناس, when people, strangers, they see you in the street, they say, this is one of the followers of Ja'far ibn Muhammad. فلقد أدب شيعته. حتى يقول الناس رحم الله جعفرا. May God bestow mercy on Imam al-Sadiq Ja'far. He really refined his community, his followers. They are refined in their character, in their behavior, in their manners, in their families. They are refined. This is Shi'ism, my friends. This is Shi'ism and nothing else. Behavior and manners. مرج البحرين يلتقيان. Surah Al-Rahman. مرج البحرين يلتقيان. Quran has exoteric meaning and esoteric meaning. The outer and the inner. Outer meaning, common meaning, and the inner meaning, the cryptic, if you will. Cryptic meaning, the metaphor. The outer meaning, the two oceans, they join together, but they don't mix with each other. I've seen this in South Africa. I've seen it. The Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean, when they join, they are very distinct in color. But the metaphor of this, and this is not only the sources of the Ahlul Bayt, it's also some of the sources, the tafasir, the exegesis of the school of Sahaba, like Al-Alusi, like As-Suyuti, Durr al-Manthur, and many others. They say, they narrate the hadith of Imam al-Sadiq. Maraj al-Bahrayn yaltaqiyan. These two oceans, these seas, when they get together, is the marriage of Ali and Fatima Zahra alayhim as-salam. They are oceans of love, oceans of devotion, oceans of faith, endless ocean. Yaltaqiyan. But between them, بينهما, there is a barrier. There is a barrier, a separation, a barrier. برزخ means barrier. لا يبغيان. They do not transgress against each other. They keep their distinct character, their independence, but they do not transgress against each other. Imam al-Sadiq says, فلا علي يبغي على فاطمة ولا فاطمة تبغي على علي. Neither Ali wrongs Fatima, nor Fatima wrongs Ali. As a result of that, what happens? Read the one after it. يخرج منهما. If the parents are like those, they don't transgress against each other, they respect, they adore, they help, they support each other. The result, look at the children. يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ. Comes forth out of them pearl and coral. لؤلؤ والمرجان. اللؤلؤ هو الحسن والمرجان هو الحسين عليه السلام. Those are our leaders. Imam Ali said, never she made me angry, never ever. ولا عصت لي أمرا ولقد كنت أنظر إليها فتنكشف عني الهموم والأحزان. When I look at the face of Fatima, illuminating face, this bright, beautiful face of Fatima, تنكشف, all my distress, my exhaustion, dispersed immediately removed, just by looking at her face. Oftentimes he comes back home very tired, very exhausted, Imam Ali. He had a very tough life, my friends. Read his biography. Read his biography. He was always on call, a soldier on call. But he comes back home once Fatima is waiting for him. at the gate, at the door, he forgets his pain, his suffering. She induces him with a sense of renewal, energy, hope, joy. فتنكشف عني الهموم والأحزان. تنكشف عني الهموم والأحزان. Not only Imam Ali, her father too. Whenever Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was under stress, he was distressed by his community, by the enemies, the inside, the outside, by other people who hurt him. Where does he go? Where does he go? He goes to the house of Ali and Fatima to find a moment of relief, to find some peace of mind when he plays with Hassan and Hussein, when he speaks to Fatima alayhi salam. The first home when he comes back from a trip, he goes to his mosque to offer 2 units of prayers, giving thanks to God, rak'atay shukr, and immediately he switches and he turns to the house of Fatima Zahra. The first place to meet, the first people to meet. And the last place to bid farewell to before he leaves on a military excursion, before he goes out of Medina, the last station is the house of Ali and Fatima. And whenever he stands at that door, he says, إنما يريد الله يا أهل الدار يا أهل الدار إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. Whenever Fatima alayhi salam comes to visit him, he would stand. وأجلسها في مجلسه. He brings her, he holds her hand, he kisses her hand, and then he puts her in his own seat. Amazing what the Prophet used to do with his favorite daughter Fatima. One day he was asked, and these are in the other traditions, this is not only a Shia source, other Muslim sources. You can look at it up. When he was asked, Ya Rasulullah, أَيُّ أَهْلِكَ أَحَبُّ إِلَيْكَ? Who is the most favorite among your family members? Without any hesitation, he said, Fatima bint Muhammad. Aisha was asked one day, أَيُّ النَّاسِ أَقْرَبُ إِلَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ? Who is the closest, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, the closest to the Prophet? She said, من النساء فاطمة ومن الرجال علي أما تعلمي أنه كان صواما قواما. Among ladies, undoubtedly Fatima. Among men, Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is the statement of Aisha bint Abi Bakr. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what did he say about Fatima? He said many things that he never said about any human being. In fact, within the family of the Prophet, 2 was his most favorite. Fatima Zahra and her sweetheart Hussein. And the Prophet would smell Fatima. They tell him, Ya Rasul, Aisha would ask him, why do you keep smelling? He says, when I miss the aroma of paradise, I smell my daughter Fatima. The Prophet would hug Hussein and kiss him. And he says, Husaynun minni wa ana min Husayn. Ahabba Allah man ahabba Husayn. Fatimatun bad'atun minni. She's part of my heart and my soul. If you love her, God would love you. If you hate her, God would not love you. God would hate you. This is the statement of the Prophet. And imagine those 2, the most favorite. How did they die? They were crushed by the enemies. Hussein ibn Ali in Karbala, by the hoofs of the horses in Karbala, and Fatima behind the wall and the door. صدران أحبهما رسول الله. صدر فاطمة وصدر الحسين. Both of them were abused and destroyed. Imam al-Sadiq says, after the death of the Prophet, جدتي فاطمة, my grandmother Fatima, أصبحت طريحة الفراش منهدة الركن
ناحلة البدن دامعة العين معصبة الرأس. She was very completely physically depleted. She had no energy. She was pale and frail, always wearing the headband because of her pain. Always the tears are rolling down. She kept crying, and she used the tears as a weapon against her enemies, as a statement against the injustice of the political establishment of that time. She kept crying until the people of Medina came to Imam Ali. They said to him, Ya Aba al-Hasan, inna Fatimata tabki laylaha wa nahara. She's crying 24/7. قل لها إما تبكي ليلا أو نهارا. She has to choose either between the day or the night, because we are disturbed. We can't focus, we can't sleep. So he came to her. He said, this is what they say to you. She said, Wallah, by Allah, I'm not going to stop crying for my father. This is the only weapon I have against them. So he was forced to build Baytul Ahzan for her, the house of sorrows, at the outskirt, in the middle of the farm, at the outskirt of Medina. So she would take the hands of Hassan and Hussein and walks with them to this house. She spends the whole day until sunset, when Amir al-Mu'mineen comes to her, and sometimes she goes to the grave of her father Rasulullah. She takes a handful of the dirt of the grave and she smells it, and she says, ماذا على من شم تربة أحمد. ماذا على من شم تربة أحمد ألا يشم مدى الزمان. غواليا قد كنت ذات حما بظل محمد، لا أختشي ضيما وكان حما ليا، واليوم أخشع للعدو وأتقي. I was cherished by my father. I was loved by him. I was protected by him. After his departure, I have no defense. واليوم أخشع للعدو وأتقي ضيمي وأدفع ظالمي بردائي. أبتاه صبت علي مصائب لو أنها صبت على الأيام صرنا لياليا. قومك يا ابويا مهرعوني وخلاف عينك مرمروني، وعن حقي يا ابويا منعوني، انا طالبت بيه وانكروني، ومن البكى عليك منعوني، ومن البكى عميت عيوني، والله برا المدينة طالعوني. This is how they treated me, Ya Rasulullah, after your departure. This is how your ummah who were praying behind you, who were around you, this is how they treated your favorite daughter Fatima Zahra and your son-in-law Ali ibn Abi Talib and your kids. وويلي ولايف في ايد الوسف والويل على الزهرة اللي يهد مصابها الحيل، تقضي الطاهرة وتندفن بالليل، عسى الليالي الجنة ولا فجر طار. Lady Fatima alayha salam, she kept her sadness and her tears. But Ya Mu'mineen, remember, she asked Amir al-Mu'mineen not to leave her. She said, and we will hear this tomorrow night inshallah, Ya Aba al-Hasan, do not leave me. إذا قضيت نحبي فغسلني وكفني وحنطني. You are the one who tends to washing my body. Do not assign someone else. You are the closest one to me. I only trust you, Ya Aba al-Hasan. You shroud me, you take me to my final resting station. And this is what Amir al-Mu'mineen did to his noble wife, noble sweetheart Fatima. He shrouded her, he washed her body, he shrouded her, he carried her. At least she had some procession, though only were 7 people, 7 companions who participated in her procession. And Amir al-Mu'mineen took her to her grave. But her sweetheart Hussein, on the land of Karbala, on the sand dune of Karbala, who washed him? Thrown there for 3 days without washing, بلا غسل ولا كفن. أفاطم لو خلت الحسين مجدلا وقد مات عطشانا بشط فراتي إذا للطمت الخد فاطم عنده وأجريت دمع العين في الوجنات. فاطم قومي يا ابنة الخير واندبي نجوم سماوات بأرض فلاتي قبور بكوفان وأخرى بطيبة وأخرى بفخ نالها صلواتي. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم. Mu'mineen, with tears in your eyes, broken hearts, for Our Lady As-Sayyida Zahra Salamullahi alayha, please remember those people who are suffering in Lebanon and Palestine. Remember your brothers and sisters. Those are genuine followers of Ahlul Bayt. The Lebanese of the south, the Shia Muslim Lebanese, are the most genuine, and they have been displaced from their properties, from their homes, from their lands. Many of their young ones have been murdered and killed. Thousands of women, children, elderly, they've been massacred. The genocide not only in Gaza and Palestine, but in Lebanon too. Pray for them. Remember them. Remember them in your prayers. God will answer. God will answer, definitely will answer your prayers. قُلْ مَا يَعْبَأُ بِكُمْ رَبِّي لَوْلَا دُعَاءُكُمْ. Please, genuinely pray for them. Remember them every single day. When you are by yourself, nobody is seeing you, nobody is watching you, nobody is hearing your voice. Raise your head to the sky, and with tears in your eyes and with a burning heart, say, "Oh Allah, send your victory on our brothers and sisters in Lebanon and in Palestine. Oh Allah, support them, stand with them in their suffering, in their agony. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم اجعل كلمة الإسلام هي العليا وكلمة أعداء الله وأعداء الدين هي السفلى. اللهم لا تحرمنا من ولاية أهل البيت عليهم السلام. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا فنتبعه والباطل باطلا فنجتنبه ولا تفرق بيننا وبين أهل البيت عليهم أفضل الصلاة والسلام. وعجل اللهم في فرج سيدنا ومولانا صاحب العصر والزمان، وإلى أرواح شهداء لبنان وشهداء فلسطين وأرواح شهداء المؤمنين والمؤمنات وأرواح أمواتكم. And thanks very much for Al-Akbar Foundation for their dedication, the volunteers who are working tirelessly. This is one of the best sessions that I've seen in Europe, in London. May Allah reward you, inshallah, for the service that you are doing for him, for his apostle, and for Ahlul Bayt and Lady Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. وإلى أرواح جميع الشهداء ثواب الفاتحة مع الصلاة على محمد